Car Connection Radio.
Oh, that is a too much sky buggy nonsense.
Vince, we are talking for the next 40 minutes or so here on Car Connection Radio at 770-226-0920. And we are talking about when is it time to get a new car? When do you think, Vince, what is your number one reason why you need to get a new car?
Number one reason?
Number one reason. No, and again, when I say new, just to clarify,
Right.
I'm not saying you're going out and buying a 2010 automobile. I'm saying a new car to you.
To me, you shouldn't buy a car until you really need one. Whatever that means to you.
Well, now that was a total punt of an answer.
Was it?
Yeah, sure. I want to know. Rarely should you own a car with over 200,000 miles on it.
Okay.
If you've been in an accident and you don't want your car a repaired car back, those are the kinds of
That's a
things.
good reason.
All good reasons, but I asked you.
Okay.
Well, I mean, there's no number one. It's a personal thing. If you don't want to drive a restored wrecked car, if the insurance company said it was a total loss and you want to go out and fix it, you're nuts.
But don't you? I mean, well, what I'm asking is psychologically, we know because we're involved in the business that there is a person who says, "I want to see if it has a Carfax," and they want to see that Carfax to see what if it's been in an accident.
Yes.
Right. But of course, all accidents are not created equal, right?
Correct.
So you have somebody back into you at the parking lot, at the mall, damages your door, got to get it repaired. That maybe goes on the Carfax as an accident.
It's not. Well, I can't really say that to be true because if you live in Florida, it's not going to be in the Carfax. That it's against the law for them to report it, for the insurance company to report it to Carfax. So cars out of Florida show clean.
That actually was a big scandal here in Atlanta. There was a noted independent store that was showing all kinds of frame damaged vehicles.
But they're still around, but they changed the name.
Yeah, well, that's it. Okay. We've got Alan on the phone. I am again the winner of the round. Caller on the program, Alan. Welcome to Car Connection Radio, which I know you use 770-226-0920 to get on the phone with us. You have a question. If you buy a car, can you bring it back to the dealer? Vince, how does that work?
You buy a car, you drive it over the curb, bring
You
it.
own it.
You own
You're
it.
done. You're stuck. Good luck. Buyer beware. Caveat emptor.
Too bad. But
That's
a car
not
connection.
necessarily true, though, is it?
No, a car connection, we give you 3 days or 300 miles. If you don't like it, bring it back. No questions asked.
Okay. Now, the other question that I have for you is that universally the case? Is that a situation? Alan asks a great question. Sometimes, and I don't know if you've ever talked to people who have said this to you. Folks have said it to me. Said I felt like I simply asked a question. The next thing I know, I've got a car, and I get home. I realize it doesn't fit in my garage. I can't put my golf clubs in the trunk. This isn't the right car for me. I feel like I got pressured into doing something I didn't want to do.
Well, when it comes to most car dealers will tell you you bought it, you own it. I'm sure that some car dealers are compassionate enough to understand it doesn't fit in your garage. It sticks out 6 inches too long. You either call the builder to make the garage bigger, or hopefully they'll take the car back. But there's a good chance they won't.
What would be the downside? I mean, we've taken a car. I don't, I will tell you that I'm very conservative, and so when someone does in fact buy a car from us, I'm often not really counting the deal as being completed until that sort of 3-day window sort of closes, because we've had folks who've said it doesn't work for us and the car comes back.
You also want to make sure it's check clears too.
Well, but I mean, as a practical matter, I want to make sure that people are comfortable with the process, and there's a reason why it's called buyer's remorse, that people sometimes have second thoughts.
Yes.
And I think that comes from a high pressure, heavy, I don't know, just you feel like you're leaning on a person too hard, where they're doing something not necessarily against their will. That's probably too strong a way to say it, but they're doing it not wholly voluntarily. They just feel like I got caught up in the process, and it seemed like all these forms, and next thing I know, I'm driving home and I'm excited, but I'm also wicked nervous. To me, it seems like, look, we've got cars. We're going to have cars this week. We're going to have cars next week. We feel like we can always stand behind our cars, and if you get home and you decide it's not for you, then you know what? Swap it out. And
That's the easy way. We just want to make sure you're happy, because if you buy a car and within 3 days you realize you don't like it, you can bring it back. We like you to look at our inventory, maybe pick something else out. You just can't buy a car and then decide you don't like it. It's not like returning a pair of shoes, but at the same time, if it doesn't work for you, we'll take it back. There's no questions asked.
But is it I mean, and sometimes people ask, and of course, always look at your state by state laws. Every state has their own consumer protections and their willingness to protect their residents or not. But we would clearly come down on the side. Dealers should do the right thing. If a customer comes back for whatever reason, wants out of the deal, best case scenario for everybody.
Take the car back. Give him back his money. Simple.
Won't permanently be stuck with that car if you take it back.
Why would? What? Nothing's.
I'm working through the scenarios.
Yeah,
I'm you know.
If it doesn't work for them, it works. Work for someone else. No big deal.
What if you've already sold the car that they traded in? What happens then?
That's the question.
I've heard that happens to people.
That does
They
happen.
get told, "Hey, you can't give your car back. We already sold your car." Turns
Well-
out that was the hottest car on the lot on Monday.
Most of the time, that's not true. They're hiding
Oh.
it. They're hiding it in the back of the building. So, what we do is when we take the car on trade, we would then, after we receive funds for it, we would then check it over and repair it, and decide what we're going to do with it. Either resell it, take it to an auction, never see it again. And normally, it's the car's on the property for a couple of days. So we haven't had the issue in 20 years.
Never had it, but never had that particular.
I've heard about it, but we haven't had the problem.
Okay, so what we've established now is get excited about getting a new car. Use your own criteria. Vince is still not committed to me as to what his principal catalyst is for why someone should be out looking for a replacement vehicle. How about you get a big raise?
Hey, that's a good reason. But that's
Do
one
people
of
still
100.
give raises in this economy? Do people still?
Depends how good.
Is
you
it
are.
always downsizing? I don't need a back seat anymore.
That's
Is
not
that
true.
is that the reason anybody said I used to drive a minivan, now I'm downsizing? Kids are in college. That's why I'm getting this convertible coupe.
Well, that's another reason. So you just
It's
gave
not
me
actually a midlife crisis.
No, but you gave.
I went from a 4-bedroom house down to a studio efficiency. Used to drive a minivan, big conversion van.
And now you're driving a BMW convertible.
That still has 4 seats. Okay, this is Car Connection Radio, 770-226-0920. Now, you may be getting close to the church parking lot. I know we're rapidly approaching the church hour. Send the family in. Maybe you want to buy, maybe there is a mom in your life that you want to buy a new car for, and you're saying, how do I do that between now and Mother's Day? We'll answer the question while she's looking for a good seat inside. 770-226-0920. This is Car Connection Radio. You're listening to Intelligent Talk, 920 WGKA.
Car Connection Radio.